All right, please call the roll.
Senator Beasley, Senator Bell, Senator Butler, Senator Chasteen, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Gavan, Senator Roberts, Senator Shellnut, Senator Stewart, Senator Weaver, Senator Williams, Senator Stutz, Senator Melson.
Here. Call the first bill, please.
HB 237 by Representative Collins.
All right, before we start, I have an amendment for her. She's running late. I don't know if she's going to make it or not. But here's the amendment, if you would. Just read the amendment, and have you handed them out to everybody? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, does this fit with the one pager that was going around earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me tell you, before we even vote on it, let me just tell you what the amendment does. So in our bill that we passed out last week from the Senate, we did not give immunity to the manufacturers, okay? After we found out that there was some defective product that came in Alabama, we did not give them immunity. Looking back, I went, and others, learned people in the House, have gone back and looked at, and talked to individuals involved, and what they have found in other states, those manufacturers have been held responsible to the point that they pay for another round of infertility treatment. So they would pay for the supplies, the egg transfer, or harvesting, the fertilization, the storage, and the reimplantation or implantation in the patient, which seems reasonable, and it seems like that's worked well in other states. So that's what this bill forces them to do if they are found to have committed something. Any discussion on that amendment?
I'd move adoption.
Second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now that we have adopted the amendment, the bill in front of you is essentially the same corresponding bill that we passed out of the Senate last week with that new change. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Walk me through, if you would, this Title VI Code of Alabama, Chapter 5.
Okay. I might have to have my guest in the corner over here to walk us through that.
Can you please do that, Othni? Wrongful death.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but intentional acts of misconduct is not normal IVF procedure, so they still would be held liable. Yeah, so all you're hearing about this, they can intentionally do damages in the community, is just a fear tactic. They still have to follow IVF practice, which is something that's normal. Like, they would have to follow their normal procedure for procurement, for fertilization, storage, and things like that. We have
As I was going to keep going there, if I could.
oh, please.
I've worked on this the last 13 days very diligently, trying to seek the wisest of counsel in a solution. I am pro IVF and have more friends than I had any idea that have been involved, that I've had the privilege to hear from, talk to, and even one of my closest friends was with his daughter yesterday and getting treatment in another state. We're going at this rapidly, and I understand the need for speed here. I just want to make sure we get this right. I've looked at Louisiana, I've looked at Italy, and I've looked at what France has done. They're the main places that we found information on how they handle it, and they all handle it a little bit differently. Louisiana and Italy are somewhat similar, and I want to make sure we get it right. You know, I've heard multiple times this session that we want Alabama to lead on this, and I want to be a part of us leading well, but I still have heartburn. And I visited with someone on this committee for a bit this morning going through this, the Chapter 5, Title 6, and I think I understand it. But are there other things we're not thinking about? And that's what I want to make sure we get this right. I don't know that we'll get to revisit this again, is my point.
I can tell you that we have done the same thing that you just
Mhm.
said. We brainstormed, we've looked at different hypothetical situations. Is there always going to be a surprise that we don't know about in the future? Probably. We'll address that when it happens again. I know you talked about Italy. Italy has an increase of morbidity and mortality since they've
Mhm.
gone up.
Mhm.
You know, you're sacrificing probably mothers for embryos. So I don't know all the details of that, but that's what I've been hearing.
I've not heard that, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of information out there. I've even been looking at what some bioethicists are talking about as we walk through this process, and not the ones that are opposed to IVF. I've been trying to read the ones that would be pro IVF, but the best way to accomplish it. And I'm not totally there yet on that we're doing the right thing here, is what I'll tell you.
I'll, I'll be glad to listen to any concerns you have and discuss them. We can talk about it. Any more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I want to say too, I'm pro IVF and I am pro life, completely on both of those issues. But I have a real problem with, assigning, a value to a life of just the cost of the procedure. And having practiced obstetrics for 31 years, and as you know, and others know probably, that is the most litigious area of medicine. And, you know, I have a real problem with limiting those kind of damages and just saying, well, we'll pay you back for it. Well, how can you be paid back for that? You know, I have said, it's worth $1,000 for me to deliver a baby perfectly, but it's worth $1 million for me to deliver one bad. And to assign a value like that to the life of an embryo, well, we're sorry that happened, but we're going to pay for you to get another cycle. I mean, there are a lot of people that are involved in vitro fertilization, and that's not the only part of assisted reproductive technology. A lot of people that have reached the point of going through IVF cycles may have advanced maternal age. They may be kind of at the end of the road of their infertility options, and to just simply say, we're going to well, I know we lost all your embryos, but we're going to pay you for having another cycle. Well, another cycle may not be an option for them, and to limit it like that, I held my nose and voted for our Senate bill last week because as I've said before, I think we're taking the wrong approach on this and opening a whole can of worms that didn't need to be opened. And I held my nose and voted for that, but I cannot vote for this as it's amended to limit people's options of.
So the previous bill out of the Senate had no options. And then we changed it. I think this is a fine line for a way to get them some recourse in this situation. And I understand if you want to vote no, we'll just
Yeah,
call the roll and say.
but like I said, I understand that, but I'm for the patients that are in IVF. I'm for the life that is being created and not for protecting somebody and saying, well, we'll just pay for another cycle. That shouldn't be an option. And I'm not for being more litigious. I'm simply saying, you know, the area of medicine I've practiced in, that's like saying, well, I hate that happened, we're gonna pay you back for your office visit. That's not a fair way to do it, in my opinion.
I think it's what we've seen in other states has been the acceptable solution. I think that you're probably right, that some people have not felt that was compensation enough, and others have felt like it was very reasonable. This gets it going until we can look at it further down the road. So, I would
Mr.
ask
Chairman,
that- Yes, sir.
if I may, I've not sure why we're bifurcating this and allowing compensatory damages for goods and not for services. It also would appear to me, I imagine it would be rare, but it appears to me we're cutting off some remedies that would be in play for wanton or willful conduct. That I don't know how often that would appear. I don't do personal injury work, so I don't know how mental anguish would kick in this, whether it would or not. But I think that we need to talk about, I agree with the general premises that we're going to compensatory damages, because wrongful death is punitive damages in Alabama. We can debate about the wisdom of that in another setting. But in this setting, I think this is a reasonable way to deal with it, but I think we may be cutting it off a little short.
Mr. Latham, willful and wanton misconduct is not normal activity in IVF, so it would be recourse to that, correct? Senator Glenn, does that make you a little more comfortable?
I'm gonna vote for it here today, but I don't know if the discussion needs to be wrapped up.
Understand. All right, clerk, call the roll.
Senator Beasley, Senator Bell, Senator Butler, Senator Chastain, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Gavan,
Aye.
Senator Roberts, Senator Shellnut, Senator Stewart, Senator Weaver, Senator Williams, Senator Stutz, Senator Melson,
Aye. Abstain. What's the count? 7 ayes, 1 nay, 2 abstains. The bill is given a favorable report. Thank you very much. We're dismissed.